Hey guys, what's going on? Nita's Fluid Woodworks here. I'm Nita, and yes, I am on the floor. But today I'm going to be talking to you about how to mix epoxy. This is detrimental to your project. If you get this wrong, you're kind of just screwed, basically. It's easy. Don't make it rocket science. There are a few tips that I have for you, but they're really simple. I see and get a lot of messages from people asking, why is their project still tacky? Why is it not hardening? Why is it this? Why is it that? And it all comes down to mixing your epoxy. Number one, what I'm going to say is cups. Pay attention to your cups. So I know a lot of people on YouTube like to tell people to mix in 2 separate cups, and a lot of times they're not even measured. They're like just try to match the lineup, and when it's a 2-to-1, good luck. I don't know how they do that. And if they show you how bad they messed up when they do. Okay, so what I'm going to show you about the cups, give me 1 second. Okay, so number one, the reason that you don't want to mix in separate cups and then put it into the same is that these cups are mass produced. So they're just getting pushed through a line and numbers are getting put on them. Things can go wrong and the numbers aren't always the same. So if you're counting on a cup that is mass produced, to be accurate, 2 of them to be the same, it's 9 times, probably 5 times out of 5 not gonna happen. And it may be lower than that, but I've seen it a lot. If you there's a couple people that actually put that happening to them. I know Nathan out at Goodview Woodworks, it happened to him, and he's been pouring a very long time and he knows what he's doing, and he still had that happen to him. I've had it happen to me. So just don't pour in 2 separate cups. If you're going to, another thing that I'm going to mention is use the appropriate cup size that you're pouring. So if you're pouring something super small, don't pour in something like this. Grab these little 8 or 10 ounce, 6 ounce measuring cups. I think this one's 10. This one's 10. I really like these. A lot of these can be pretty messed up as far as like the measurements and stuff, not accurate at all. I've had that happen a lot. I had a whole pack that was just everywhere. None of the lines were straight, and I thought I was getting a pretty good deal, but I didn't. I just had some messed up cups. Anyways, so that's number 2. And number 3, just a prep before you pour. If you're doing like a tabletop epoxy or something like that, the viscosity of the epoxy is thick. If it's like a tabletop epoxy, if it's not a deep pour epoxy, it's thicker, the resin is. So a good thing to do is just, I have a tub and I put hot water. It's like a tote dedicated for my epoxy because it drips and it leaks and it gets sticky. So I'll fill it with, not fill it, but I'll put like 6 inches or sometimes more depending on if I got the big jugs, if I need them warmed up or whatever. But if you warm your epoxy up, so I put hot water in there, and then that lowers the viscosity and it mixes so much easier, okay? The next thing, gloves. I work in a ventilated area, so I don't use a respirator. I've heard there's a lady that had epoxy's killing me thing. I couldn't watch a lot of that. I think I watched 2 minutes, but yeah, don't play with epoxy with your bare hands. I mean, I think that's common sense. When you go to buy it, it has a warning on it that it's toxic. It's a chemical, so just don't play with it with your hands unless you have gloves on, I guess. I don't know. Another one, yeah, if you're try to work by a window. If it's cold out, just wear a respirator or something. Let's see, have everything ready before you pour, okay? Everything. Have everything ready before you pour, because once you mix those two, and if it's not a deep pour, that clock starts ticking and you're screwed. You either have non-mixed epoxy, or it's gonna have an exothermic reaction in the cup. Like, say if I love Total Boat Epoxy, but there's no way in hell that I would be able to mix A and B and then get my stuff ready and come back and it be okay. I have to be ready beforehand and then go. Wipe your surfaces down with 91% isopropyl alcohol. You can also use DNA, that's denatured alcohol. I don't like the smell, and it takes longer to dry. Also, mineral spirits, water. Don't let water, make sure it's dry when you pour your epoxy though, because water and those other things don't mix with epoxy. The only thing you want mixed with epoxy is epoxy, hardener, and resin, okay? So, that's it. Now I'm going to show you how to mix epoxy, okay? And when we're going to mix epoxy, I'm going to pour these coasters right here. Alright, so the epoxy that I'm mixing is a 2-to-1. It's a deep pour epoxy. I highly recommend it. Let me grab it. This is the epoxy that I'm going to be pouring. Pourable plastics. I love this epoxy. It takes about 24 hours to get tacky, and like I said, it's a 2-to-1 mix ratio. So even though this is thinner, little quick tip, if you're pouring epoxy and if you leave a paint stick in the bottom of your container, you can reuse your containers. So if you leave a paint stick in there, ta-da! Now you have a clean container. Okay? So, oops. So, yeah, if you like little quick tips and tricks like that, stick around, hit that like button, press subscribe, because I'm full of them. I like to work efficient, I like to save money, and if I can reuse something, I do. Oh, I got another one. This plastic that you pour on, like when I do my wall arts and things like that, what you're going to want to do is get 3 mil and up. That's the thickness. If you get 3 mil and up, then the epoxy will actually just peel off, and you can just reuse and reuse and reuse your plastic until you get holes in it or burn it or do something stupid. So yeah. Okay, so I am going to mix this with a drill. And I don't usually use this mixing paddle, but it's the only one that I have on hand. So, like I said, get ready before you go. And wear gloves, of course. And that's it. Let's mix. So, when I mix my epoxy, let me bring you down. Okay, so when I mix my epoxy, even this one, even it being thinner, I'm going to mix my hardener first and then my resin. And the reason that I do that is because the hardener is thin. The viscosity of it is super, super thin. And epoxy has a tendency to be, it's known to be thick, like it's thicker. So if you put the hardener in there, then it's not life or death. I mean, it's not going to mess you up if you don't do it, but it just gives you kind of leg up on your mixing. So the resin, the hardener will go in, and then the resin will kind of drop through. Otherwise, it's just kind of stuck there in the bottom. So it'll just give you a leg up if you do it that way. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to mix 30 ounces. Okay, so that's 10, 20, 30. This is a 2-to-1. So I'm going to mix 10 of hardener and 20 of resin. And that's going to give me okay, I'm going to mix 10 of hardener and then 20 of resin. Sorry about my camera. It's janky. It's not really janky. It's actually a really good camera. I just probably don't know what I'm doing with it. So we're going 10. Oh, and take your time. Okay, so we're at 10 of hardener. And then we're going 20 of resin. Okay, and you want to be precise with your measurements. That is one thing that is important. Also, have a paint stick because we're going to okay. So I am going to start low, hold my cup. Like I said, start low and go in slow and then just mix. Okay, I want to show you something. And I always have a drip cup. If that makes sense, it's just a thing for my for my stuff to drip in. Okay, so you see this? You see them little strings in there? You see that? Okay, watch. So when you mix, always scrape your sides and the bottom, but watch these iridescent strings. You see that? It's like right here and right there. Okay. Let me see if I can show you from the top to the bottom. There they are. You see how it looks like kind of spider webby? Okay. Okay, so if you see those like iridescent stringy like lines or ribbons, I call them ribbons, it's not mixed. That's the way you're gonna know if your epoxy is mixed, okay? If you see that, it's not mixed. And you're gonna see a lot of it in the beginning, and then you're gonna see it when you scrape your sides and the bottom. So I'm just gonna get back to mixing. Okay, so the time that you mix, again, scrape your sides. And there's those ribbons that I was talking about, but I'll get rid of those by hand mixing now. So the amount of time that you mix depends on every epoxy. And also when they say 5 minutes, mix for 6. Mix for 6. No, really. Make sure you don't see these ribbons. Like, just because an epoxy says mix for 3 minutes, mix till it's mixed. Unless it's a tabletop epoxy, then like I said, put it in hot water. It'll make the viscosity thinner. And it'll be so much easier on your freaking hands. I don't know about you, but my hands hurt from mixing. Scrape sides. Mix the bottom. Now I am going to add colors to these. I'm going to pour 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things of coasters. I've already got 2 done. And when I was asking a few people because, okay, so I'm trying to come up with a series for beginners on the basics of epoxy. And I don't remember what scared me or what I wish I knew. I mean, the stuff that I did wish that I knew and stuff, like, I've already got that. But I kind of need some help. Are you new to epoxy? And if you are, what do you want to know? Like, what stumps you? What do you get wrong? What stops you from moving forward? What keeps you from doing a project? One of my friends, she became a friend through actually epoxy. She's my mail lady. So she told me that the thing that scared her was mixing epoxy. So here I am with the video of mixing epoxy. It's not hard. It doesn't have to be hard. It just has to be right. Okay. So once you don't see no stringies and your epoxy is mixed. Now this goes the same for any epoxy. 3 to 1, 1 to 1, 2 to 1. You're going to have a less working time when you have a 1 to 1 ratio. I wouldn't suggest to get an epoxy that is like a quick coat or something right away. And if you do, use a little baby cup. But that's it. So, okay. So to add color. Okay. That's it. That's how you mix epoxy. Now you pour it. If you have any other questions, just don't hesitate. I got you. I will answer. I know this can be intimidating, but you got this. Okay? I sound like Stone Cold Countertops. I sound like Mike right now. You got this. I love you, Mike. You do great stuff. All right, but that's it, man. That's it. So now we pour. Okay? All right. Have a good one. If you got anything out of this and you would like to see more content like this, or if you want to see me do something and I haven't done it, I have like 2 terabytes worth of videos that I'm going to try to get out this week. I got you, okay? So if you got a question, ask. Hit me up on Instagram. Hit me up on Facebook. Whatever. Be easy. Stay safe.